Hello, BookTube. Well, it's Wednesday, and that means Epic Comic Book Wednesday, when Michael K Vaughan and I combine forces to talk about comic books, some kind of comic book theme or creator or run or whatnot. And this started originally on Mike's channel when he was just taking a tour of his Epic collections. Marvel Comics full color reprint paperback collections that are really wonderful. The Epic collections are really wonderful. And boy, oh boy, are there some, no pun intended, epic collections coming up. But I saw that and thought, hey, I want in on that, so I wanted in on it. And the price I pay for that is that Mike gets to pick what we talk about. And that's not always bad. It's largely been my observation that the very best points, the highest points, certainly the most discussable points of comics, are usually held in a greater degree of common assent than you would think. It's most comic book fans would acknowledge some of the greatest stuff of four-color superhero comics, and it would all be the same stuff. No, the problem comes in whenever Mike strays from my own opinions into disastrously his own. And we're getting one of that today, because today is a special Halloween episode of Epic Comic Book Wednesday, where we are going back to the 1970s, which, you know, the more I think about it, the more I think it's really the decade where Michael K. Vaughan belongs. We're going back to the early 1970s, and we're going to the monster craze, naturally. And Marvel Comics had a monster craze. And when you're talking about monsters, it shouldn't be true. We should have more than this to talk about. But when you're talking about monsters, if you're not talking about Godzilla, then if you're talking about creepy monsters, you're talking about three, really. Dracula, some sort of werewolf, and Frankenstein's monster. Often incorrectly called Frankenstein. And Marvel went to all of those right away. They did Tomb of Dracula, and it was an amazing success. Tomb of Dracula is an incredible thing. It's just an incredible production from start to finish, and it was the most popular thing they did. They did a comic called Werewolf by Night. Mike and I have talked about it. It was 100% crapola from start to finish. It was the dumbest possible way to approach the subject. Modern day Marvel, relatively modern day Marvel, it started a Werewolf by Night comic again that was a little more successful until it wasn't. The first two issues I read and thought, well, those are pretty good. But I was waiting. I was waiting for the inevitable. When with modern Marvel comics, what's coming is inevitable. And it will be a flood of vicious grievance identity politics. That is utterly unavoidable. That happens every time Marvel does a comic book of any kind. And the reason why is what I've stated many times before. It's not enough for you to fire a few of those ideologues. You have to fire them all. Even the kid in the mailroom has no effect on the comics. They have to all be gone. If you leave one person there who puts a Ukraine flag in their bio or pronouns in their bio, or has grievances against literally everyone because they aren't millionaires, on the basis of identity politics, for identity qualities of their own that they are lying about, that they don't even possess. If you leave even one person like that from the 2015, if you leave even one person like that anywhere in your industry, they metastasize. They just do. They have to all be gone. And not 2 weeks firing. You have to fire them and walk them out of the building. Even if it means you miss an issue or two issues. You have to just excise that completely. Marvel hasn't done that. They're far from it. They are that. They are identity grievance politics from the top down. So in issue 3 of Werewolf by Night, the major character starts not appearing, or starts talking obsessively about food, or gets easily saved by a 5-foot-tall female character who is looking at her iPad, scrolling and talking about politics while she one-punches Dr. Doom. That sort of thing happened almost immediately, and I knew it was going to. So there's that. Werewolf by Night in the 70s was dumb, but it wasn't that dumb. And then there was the third thing, Frankenstein's monster. And Marvel did that. They created a comic called The Monster of Frankenstein, with this Mike Ploog cover where nothing makes any sense at all. And you've got, this is issue number 1. God only knows what this sells for. Probably this is collectible. And you've got Victor Frankenstein saying, "It's alive. Heaven help me. It's alive," as his monster comes alive. And this comic purported to tell the future adventures of Frankenstein's monster. Not at first. I believe that the opening arc of this, the artwork in the beginning was by an artist named Mike Ploog. We'll come back to that. And I forget who wrote this piece of crap. But the first, I think the first few issues were just a retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And then we move on to the monster's further adventures. Only it's not the monster from the book, because that won't do anybody any good. I guess that won't do anybody any good. The monster from the book is extremely, even absurdly eloquent. And the monster from the movie, the famous Boris Karloff movie, is not. It's monosyllabic. And the monster here has the soul of a poet, but it is a grudgingly... it's the monster from Young Frankenstein. It's a monster who can't really speak all that well. He's not eloquent at all. And he's big, and he's a little bit super strong. And he goes on to have future adventures. And as I mentioned, the art is by an artist named Mike Ploog. And that is going to invoke for this discussion what one of you famously called to me in an email a few years ago, called the Ploog problem. Because Michael K. Vaughan loves Mike Ploog. He loves his artwork. Even though he will constantly say, oh, he's not cut out for superhero comics. Right. He's not. He's not at all cut out for superhero comics. Let me show you. Let's see here. Here, let's go to the tape and see if we can find an example of Mike Ploog's artwork. Yeah, there we go. That is Mike Ploog's artwork. It is very individual, shall we say? It is very, very odd, and this is the monster that we get. He is not dressed like Boris Karloff, all in black with a fairly natty suit and tie combination. Instead, he is dressed like a 19th century German alpiner. He's got a big waist-length fur vest, doesn't have any buttons, couldn't close over him. He's got a t-shirt on. It's an odd visual choice. Never really understood it. I'm sure there was some sort of rationale behind it. But we get that monster as it goes through various adventures. And it was part of a monster craze, so I think that Mike's video will have all the details of this, because I'm sure that he loves this. I'm sure he has an omnibus of it if there is one. But this book did well at first, and then tanked. And the charitable view of that will be that readers just weren't interested in Frankenstein's monster in the way that they were with Werewolf by Night, or especially Dracula. And the uncharitable answer will be that readers of the comic left because of Mike Ploog. Now, I'm not going to bash on Michael K. Vaughan for having a favorite comic book artist, even when the comic book artists aren't quite right or are kind of weird. There's an artist called Frank Robbins. Those of you who were born in the 21st century will not know any of these Marvel names, but Frank Robbins is an artist, a Marvel artist that I really like, and he is weird, downright weird. You could easily say he's not cut out for superhero comics. I would find it hard to guess what he is cut out for, but he's not. You could easily say that. It could be that readers of this book said, no. The artwork doesn't do anything for me. It's all muddy and sloppy. I'm going to leave. Those readers wouldn't know what they were missing, because I believe that Mike Ploog was succeeded on this book by John Buscema, who is great. He's absolutely great. But I could be wrong about that. It could be that he drew later things, or I could be confusing him with Sal Buscema, his brother, because there was a two-issue and then an annual Avengers story, a story in the Avengers, where Kang the Conqueror creates a Legion of the Dead, where he in this limbo that erodes the difference between living and dead, he faces off the Avengers against a team of dead creatures. The original Human Torch, for instance, or Wonder Man, an enemy of the Avengers, who then comes back legitimately on his own. And one of the creatures is this. It's Frankenstein's monster, who briefly fights Thor. And I might be remembering it. I might be remembering the artwork more from that, because I love that storyline in the Avengers. Absolutely love it. And Frankenstein's monster, the Marvel version of it, plays a part in that story. A pivotal part, because that character, even though he is not quite alive, is not amenable to Kang the Conqueror making him evil. And so the plot a little bit hinges on him. So I could be confusing that. It might be that John Buscema never drew this absolute dog turd of a book, but it doesn't matter because it was canceled in no time at all. If you were to do an omnibus edition of The Monster of Frankenstein, and Marvel has done omnibus editions of almost everything, so I imagine it's crossed somebody's mind. Well, you would include those Avengers issues. I'm sure you would, and probably this version of The Monster of Frankenstein also appeared in Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man. And I think a couple of other places too. So you would have material to make a book. If there is a book, I'm sure that Mike has it, because this is the sort of thing he loves for Halloween. But it's not good. It's not good. I don't remember the guy who wrote it, but I'm not sure that good writing could have saved this. So that's our comic for today, is The Monster of Frankenstein, who has no dramatic potential once you remove him from the plot of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So what you're going to do with that, I don't know. I would say has no dramatic potential once you remove him from the plot of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but apparently has very little dramatic potential even if you leave him in that plot, if you have some crackpot directing him and a horribly miscast monster in a new movie. So maybe the whole product is cursed. But anyway, that's our comic for today. It's The Monster of Frankenstein. No Kryptonians in sight. Maybe we'll be back to normal comics next time. I hope so. I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.